everybody, welcome to Zine Cuisine. Today's episode is mostly going to be an interview with Beth Barnett, and we're going to talk about this whole COVID-19 coronavirus crisis pandemic that's going on. Real quick, there's a number of cons that have been canceled and or delayed for an indeterminate amount of time to, hey, we actually have a date. The one that we're actually going to be doing a talking at, we're going to be doing interviews. That one has been rescheduled for June, the weekend before. Here's Con. Sorry, I've had 2 cups of coffee so far today. So that one has been rescheduled, but that was literally the only other con I had hardcore planned for Zine Cuisine. Everything else is kind of like up in the air right now. So if you see anybody with like CoronaCon or COVIDCon, or HomeCon or PandemicCon on their things and like they're posting it, or you have the Emerald City HomeCon where people who are supposed to be at Emerald City are selling their stuff online, go ahead and share and like, and please consider buying gifts for your friends and family from these artists that literally are out table and income, because all of these cons, I mean, these pay bills, these pay for our, we go to cons so we can talk and get our comics into people's hands. And the best way to do it, we can put it online, but I mean, people want to pick it up and look at it and like, oh yeah, cool, I want to take that home. So, same thing with art and all that stuff. If you see something you like, please at least, try to buy a couple things from these people. It's really putting a hard impact on our personal indie economy. Same thing goes with musicians. Indie musicians, South by Southwest is a huge deal in Austin. And its repercussions, economic repercussions, are vast at this point, because everything from food workers, this is like Black Friday weekend, and it was a long week that it straight up got canceled. Disney's been closed. I mean, all these different things are going on. So, it's crazy. So here we go with Beth. Boom. Hey, so we have Beth Barnett here. She is the author and illustrator of Dreamers of the Day, as well as some other really great things. We'll be doing a review later on of all of our collection of Beth's goodies. But we're going to talk today about the COVID-19 coronavirus. And we want to talk about also, in the midst of all this, creators making perzines and comics, or I'm going to call them COVID comics, about the situation. So, Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So hi, I'm Beth Barnett. I make comics about heroes, health, and history. My most recent compiled comic is Dreamers of the Day, which is a travelogue about a research trip I took a year ago to Oxford University, where I consulted the archives of T.E. Lawrence, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, in preparation for a big, epic graphic biography that I'm currently pitching. So I also make mental health comics, and in the wake of COVID-19, I've started making a diary comic that I'm calling Social Distancing.
Which is a lot of what people are doing now. They're sequestering themselves so they don't end up doing this. A lot of us in the zine community have, I wouldn't really want to say all of us are immunocompromised, but a good many of us have chronic illness.
Mm-hmm.
I have a chronic illness myself, so I worry about possibly getting that, because I will end up sicker with more other comorbidities. Something that you're worried about getting, because I know in Massachusetts there's a few cases out there.
So I actually work in Cambridge. I work and live in Cambridge, and the sort of epicenter for the Massachusetts pandemic is actually the Biogen, I live and work very close to their headquarters. Fortunately, for me, the Biogen pandemic was like happened in Boston, but we're literally just across the river. We're sister cities, and I work at a university, so we're very much keeping an eye on things, and pretty much like I'm now work from home. I got into work on Monday, and by Tuesday morning, it was you're working from home next week for the foreseeable future. Um, so I'm fortunate that I don't have any chronic illnesses or am immunocompromised at all. I I mostly just have to deal with the anxiety of everything.
There's a lot.
But oh gosh, it's a lot. And but we're like taking the like being socially distanced very seriously here. I am still going outside because I'm feeling okay, but I know as soon as I don't feel well to stay put. I actually had the flu like 2 weeks ago, so it was definitely not quite the like, is it COVID? But I definitely checked the symptoms, and I was fairly confident it was the flu. But I still sequestered myself in my apartment and didn't see anyone and made my husband get coffee.
Oh, by all means, yes. Now there have been a number, and the number is growing larger every day, of conventions that are either being canceled or postponed indefinitely
Mhm.
or with dates. You were going to go to Emerald City Comic Con. Just you
Yes.
were just going as a were you there to do a talk or?
So I was going with a pro pass, and I was just primarily going with the intention of being able to meet with editors and other members of the community. I About a week before the cancellation happened, I was pulled onto a panel talking about libraries and how libraries can support cartoonists and how to get more comics into libraries. My day job is working at a university library. So unfortunately, when things started to pick up, my panel was canceled as well. So
Ooh,
yeah,
dang.
and I had two more conventions planned for the rest of March. One was Ace Comic Con in Boston, which was going to be my first like big show tabling at, and the next was a small library con in Belmont, Massachusetts, both of which have been postponed. We're not quite sure when they'll be rescheduled.
I believe there's another Northeast Comic Con. Bear with me.
Yes, that
Northeast Comic
one.
Con.
That one
And
is
I
in
believe Rowan.
June.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have cake and another cake in June, and then another library con here in the Greater Boston area the end of May. So we're just keeping our eyes on things. I'm trying to go forward with a like, okay, things will continue as normal unless I'm told otherwise, because then it's just too much stress.
Yeah. Do you think that this is affecting the whole, like, our whole indie community? Because I mean, we even have like indie musicians. This is almost devastated Austin, Texas with South by Southwest, because it's not only
Oh yeah.
musicians, but there's like numerous different, like, because I know they do an indie comic, like an art fest down there as well. Like a lot of
Hmm.
them get residual money from South by Southwest.
Yeah.
So you think this is like hitting the independent comics and art and zines a little more than you think that it's like hitting big corporations? Because I think it's hitting us more at home.
Oh, definitely. Like it's very much like we as independent creators, we create and distribute these works on our own, and a lot of us really rely on the face-to-face interactions. It's great that like we have a lot of people have online stores just through that we can point traffic to. Just by sheer coincidence, mine opened up a week ago, and well, coincidence in just that it happened to open up within coronavirus. But it's leaving a lot of people scrambling, and myself, I rely a lot on being able to speak to people at conventions to be able to sell them on my work. I don't have the name yet to be able to be like, I have a store up, and then just have it do well. And I know that's the case for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't have online stores at all. Like, it's very stressful to manage one.
It really
and
is.
like, I was doing just like, hey, like, just send me money on PayPal and I'll send you comics for a little while, and that was really stressful. And my store's managed by White Squirrel Co. out in Washington, which makes things a lot easier for me. But again, it's the case, like, I can do this, but I'm not sure if everyone else can do it. And fulfillment is really stressful. I just want to make stuff and put it out there, and then be at conventions and be like, hey, here I am.
Yeah, because conventions are our bread and butter. I mean, that's
Oh,
where
yeah.
first was
Mm-hmm.
at FTX. And
Yes.
shows like that, I mean, are the reason why we can actually like meet people, be
Mm-hmm.
able to make these connections, and also get our comics into people's hands, our art into people's hands. Because, honestly, I'm finding that this is our community is kind of coming together a little bit. I'm noticing people like having things like CoronaCon,
Mm-hmm.
Emerald City at home,
Yeah.
HomeCon, SofaCon, and Pandemicon, which is one that I saw that I was like, oh, this girl's really going for it. Pandemicon, great.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I mean,
I think
it's
we
great.
really have to shout out the work that Jen Vaughn and Andrea Demonakos and Steph Cooke, and there are a couple other people whose names I'm blanking on right now, who really stepped up and got that all started with Emerald City Online and the Very Very Shopping Network. I think it's really important that we recognize that they were the ones who started this first. I've been seeing a lot of guys over the last week be like, "Oh, hey, I had this great idea." It's like, no, you didn't have this idea. Someone else did. Like, thank you for expanding on this, and like, we're playing, like, enjoying this, but like, let's support the work of these women, and
Oh,
who put this forward already. Um, so we don't want to compete; we want to uplift, and I think that's something we need to remember.
we
Um,
also have two new cons I think have been delayed that are marginalized voices. Is New York City Feminist Zine Fest has been
yeah,
postponed, and the Latinx Comic Arts Festival in Modesto, California, and those are big marginalized voices, and that's just kind of like,
and the Indigenous Peoples Comics Expo was also
oh man,
postponed. I got the name wrong on that, but that I believe was announced yesterday on March 12th. So yeah, so it's not just affecting like these big shows like Emerald City or Aches or C2E2, the last convention of the year, but it's really these smaller zine fests and library conventions and stuff that a lot of us smaller artists that we really like sit down at and can really make sales and make connections, and um, it's really it's a lot. I'm fortunate that I'm doing it, that one of the events that I'm doing was moved to be online. I'm participating in the New England Graphic Medicine Conference that's being put on by Dave Lewis at University of Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, and that's moved to an online thing. So I'll be able to still give my workshop with Liz Bolduc Sucks about making mental health comics and just health comics in general. Um, but we're lucky that Dave has this experience in online teaching, that he was able to look and say, this is probably going to get canceled, and I really want this to still happen. This is how we can move forward. But not everyone has those has the experience or the ability to do this. Um,
wow,
yeah.
it's amazing. So what are your next steps over the next couple months? Do you want to plug anything that you're working on?
I will plug my online store, which is thebethbarnett.storenvy.com. Store
Link.
Envy has one link. The link in the doobly doo. And so you can buy most of my work that is available there. So Dreamers of the Day, Hello Space Boy, and No Rest for the Anxious. I just ordered a bunch of stickers and prints, so those will be added over the next few weeks once they arrive to me, and then I can send them to White Squirrel. But at the moment, I'm working on this project called Social Distancing, which is a day-by-day diary comic of living in Boston during the pandemic. So I'm doing that to stay sane and hopefully help other people see that their stresses and what's scaring them is that it's something that we're all going through. It is universal. So, and I'm trying to make it funny because like this, it is absurd. Like the situation we're in is just very absurd. So we need to just point out what humor we can. It's very serious, but like it's also inherently ridiculous. I'm applying the same methods that I use with my anxiety comics, and it's like in that it is very serious, but it is also inherently absurd. So,
which is how we mask and be able to get through things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My humor on a regular day is it's not gallows humor. It's in fact 6 feet under. So I think at this point it's a bit like it's 6 feet under and is being partially consumed by maggots. So I was very nervous as you were drinking that. I was like, oh no, there's a good probability that there will be.
I was very close to a spit take, but I'm like, no, this coffee is too good. I'm not gonna.
Don't spit take good coffee.
No. Well, it's a pleasure talking to you, and we're gonna go ahead and finish up this episode.
Sounds good.
On it, and we should definitely do a talk again, and we'll be doing a review of Beth Barnett's collection that we have at the Zine Cuisine Library. We're doing soon, and maybe if there's any other things we can grab from Beth before we do that. It's going to be definitely a few episodes from now. Still have a lot of backlog.
Yeah, so that's fine. I am here as always. So, and with the whole social distancing and having to work from home, I am in my apartment even more than I was previously.
Well, we're definitely going to put all the links below for Beth's shop. And if you haven't already gotten a copy of Dreamers of the Day, I personally already read it 6 times. Just saying. Hello Space Boy is another one of my favorites. We picked it up at SPX. So, yes, we've got a nice little collection so far. And we want everybody else to go in too. So, somebody else is doing the con at home. Links are below. By all means, buy our stuff. All right. Hey, welcome back. So, it was a great talk with Beth. Beth is probably one of the coolest people I know, and we met Beth back at SPX when we tabled with Steven, and it was, Beth was table partner, and it was just a great weekend because we had such a great neighbor, table neighbors. And a con like SPX, we do these cons so we can talk to people and meet people, and now I've made these great connections because of cons. So not being able to go to a con is not just because, I want to dress up and have fun and buy lots of stuff. No, it's more because this is how we get our word out. It's really does not work online. There's algorithms and all this stuff working against a lot of indie artists that can't afford to put advertisements on their goods. So getting out to a con is a great way for people to hit us up online and get our fan base to grow so we can make sales and get our stuff or get our words out into the open. So I guess today's episode is going to be brought to you by Let's say Pandemicon. Today's brought to you by Pandemicon. If you see somebody saying that, buy their stuff, period. Also, as always, brought to you by the letter R for recycle. We waste a lot of paper. Please recycle your paper. Oh my god, I just cleaned our studio. And it's just literally our spare bedroom that I converted over, and it's got a lot of crap in it. Oh my god, I have a lot of paper. But going through and cleaning out, I realized that between paper scraps and misprints, we waste a lot of paper as zinesters and artists. So anytime you can, try to get a bin and put all of your paper in it and recycle it. Bring it to your local recycling center, put it in a bag, and like dump it off at, I live rural, so we have a dump. And at the dump, they have a recycling center, which I never see people use. But guess what? That's definitely going to be happening. A lot of paper. If you're crafty, you can blend it up with some water and make some more paper, some art paper. So do what you can to make sure that our waste footprint is down to a minimum. With that, I'm just going to say, please wash your hands. The best way of keeping from getting any of these viruses is the hand-to-mouth contact, and I'm really bad. I guess they've been saying do not touch your face. I think it's the CDC had a press conference in which the lady went ahead and put her finger in her mouth and flipped the page, which was funny and really sick and weird. But some of us who have anxiety issues and tics, one of my tics is from being an adult ASD, is I touch my face, and I always do. I've been doing it like my whole life. I always touch my face. It's really hard not to. So I guess they're saying do not touch your face. Hand-to-mouth contact, wash your hands, and there are so many things online right now where you can wash your hands to different songs. Rocky Horror, I like Big Butts and I Cannot Lie, You Other Boys Can't Deny. I mean, there's all these different songs that they're doing, so you can like time out your hand washing, and bring lotion too, because overwashing your hands will dry it out. As a cook, I wash my hands several times during the day and wear gloves, so we can make sure that your food is completely safe and ready for you to eat. But the average person doesn't even wash their hands when they leave the bathroom, and that's nasty. You're nasty if you do that. Please wash your hands. Other than that, I just want to thank everybody so far who has subscribed. If you can, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell so you can get notifications when episodes come up. And sometimes, as a flighty little bumblebee, I like to put random ones up here and there. So go ahead and like and subscribe. I really would love to see some comments. If you have been affected by this COVID pandemic and your con schedule has been completely derailed, please put your link below. I want to see your links for your shops. If you're an indie artist, period, I want to see your links for your shops down. I want all of us to click on those and support each other. That's it for today. I'm Chris. I am your zine addict and host, and bon appetit. Mwah.